Good evening and welcome back to Inner School. Today we have two men sitting in reverence and utter admiration to the opposition of a topic we had, I think, 2 weeks ago, or a couple of weeks when this goes live. Today we want to share our learning when it comes to women and how women face transitions in their life. And really, the impetus for this episode came through both of our partners, my wife and Adam's girlfriend. And I can't deny I'm a bit nervous to talk about these topics, but at the same time, researching and talking to Adam outside of this recording, we are more and more in awe of women. So this episode is really for you women out there from our hearts, but also you men hopefully will get something from it. Of course, Adam, how are you today? Thank you for being here with me.
Pleasure, mate. I'm here to hold your hand as we navigate the treacherous waters of putting our foot in it as men
Yeah.
and attempting to mansplain everything. But we've done our best to do some research, and we want to broach this topic with like care and sensitivity, compassion, and also with a bit of humor, of course, to lighten the load. But yeah, good to be here, brother. Love you, mate, and thanks for watching, everyone.
Yeah, so I obviously the direct source of information was my wife, and let me start us off with something that she said. So the opening quote today comes from Sarah Coates. When I have free time, I actually forget what it is that I like to do. This is a loss of identity and creates a feeling of shame that I let this happen. And maybe to give this a bit of context, she doesn't mind that I talk a bit about her. So she's just entering perimenopause. We became parents quite young, quite old. The kids are quite young. So for this amazing woman, she's not only what's the right word here? She's not only dealing with parenting two young kids, and women, they always have to bite off a bit more than us men. The kids just naturally navigate towards the female, the mother, the creator of them. But yeah, I that really landed in my heart space when she said that.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for sharing that, buddy, and thank you to Sarah for helping us with some of the research, and also thank you to my partner Kimberly as well. And we'll come on to her a bit later. But that piece that you read out, that it really hit me when I read that what Sarah wrote in terms of feeling like she'd let herself down for forgetting herself. Yet whilst at the same time giving so much of giving her life to the upbringing of children, of creating life, and still yet embarking on something so incredibly huge, monumental, and life-changing for two other human beings. She's still feeling like she's not enough, or she's not done something right, you know um and yeah, that was kind of my reflection on what Sarah had said, and it really, yeah, it gave me so much sort of empathy, and I think that the answers to the questions that Sarah had given us and what Kimberly wrote for us was just, I think also today we sort of want to start this episode also saying just the incredible respect and reverence, I know I have, and know we both have, for our female partners and our mothers. I know that it's always a joke, isn't it, that women are really good at multitasking and men aren't. Um, and maybe that's where so much of my reverence comes from, because I find it just absolutely astounding and incredible how, like, women are able to balance so many things at once, and still approach things with lots of love and care and compassion, whilst juggling so many balls and spinning so many plates simultaneously. Um, and it's really, yeah, it just blows my mind. And I think, like we were talking about this episode, how, um, and I think also what came through in the questions that they both answered for us was this sudden, this realization that we're living in a society that's been shaped by men for a long, long, long time, and everything that's shaped most of what's shaped in this society is through the lens of the masculine. And so I think when we see women doing certain things and creating and with so much inner strength and wisdom and insight, that it always blows our mind, because I guess we're seeing life through our lens as men, and what we deal with, and can't quite imagine being able to do what they do ultimately. And so for me, that's where this appreciation and gratitude comes from. um yeah, to see the sort of, and I'm sure you see it with Sarah, and you felt it with your own mother. I know I feel it from my mother. I know I see it with Kimberly and her daughter. um just the ability to do all of this stuff yet still show unconditional love, you know it's always
It's
there.
this, right, and it's this creator energy, right? That we as men, we will never ever understand. Um, to put it really bluntly, we put a seed somewhere, and then off we go and do our things. But once the seed is planted, that woman creates life. And this is the most important job there already is. And you just mentioned how our society has been shaped and created through um, a patriarchal system, which in a way, you if you listen to the right or wrong people, that depends, but it, that's also why we got this. Men can build big buildings, and they can build railways and do the hard stuff, and graft in hard conditions for a long time. Yet nothing a man can ever build compares to the giving of life, for fuck's sake, right? This is just, and
Yeah.
and I think also there comes this this huge misunderstanding between the two of us. Um, yeah, that's the point I want to make.
Yeah, beautiful brother. Yes, every single human being on this planet has been born from a woman. Like
It depends who you
I
listen to
know this is going
nowadays.
to be a yeah. Oh, triggered. You're going to trigger some
Yeah,
people with that
yeah,
comment.
that was on purpose.
Yeah, it's a good one. Um, yeah, like the we're going to state some fairly obvious things, but just when just stepping back, the transition, because that's what we're all about on this podcast and the work that we're doing here, and ultimately we're framing both masculine and feminine. We're bringing attention and awareness to masculine and feminine um, issues and challenges that they both have in terms of life transitions, and then kind of bringing it back to what is a transition. And ultimately, once you get through the minutiae and the detail of each of these different genders and what they go through, actually a transition is a transition. But needless to say, the transitions that a woman's body has to go through to give birth, that the body has to prepare itself to create life, to support life, and to ultimately give life. And that's all very well and good if it's actually achieved on that particular time of the month. But what about all the other months that it doesn't happen? The transition every single month that every woman has to go through, that their body has to go through, it's the life and deaths, the death and life cycle, isn't it? Essentially, that they're having to go through, and they're having to deal with that, the hormonal changes that they're all having to go through, and it's like cycles within cycles within cycles, and then there's this cycle towards the end of the female, reproductive era of her life, where she then has to go through another huge transition. She has to let go of her ability to create life, like the grieving that must go on during perimenopausal period. um letting go, and the grieving of having to let go of what might have been, what was, but there's no longer so. The like my body can no longer do this thing that was so magical and wonderful that I had for many years. Maybe you made the most of it, maybe you didn't. Um, and so then there's all of the hormone. You've got all of that going on. Then you've got the hormonal changes that you're having to also navigate to stay mentally sane, whilst also coping in the world and dealing with everything else. Um, so I think that was part of the thing that we wanted to really like tap into today, was just this deep appreciation for the complexity of the transitions that the feminine goes through her life, but every month of her life. Like, it's just so astounding. And I think just wanted to lean into what you spoke about when you mentioned toxic masculinity. And I thought it would be nice to sort of read out something that Kimberly wrote for us when we were doing a bit of research for this episode. So Kimberly being my partner, girlfriend. Um, this is one of the pieces that
Kimberly.
she wrote. The missus. So she said, there is no toxic masculinity or toxic feminine. Masculine and feminine in their essence are not toxic. They are meant to be in balance with every human being. What becomes toxic is how they are shaped within a sick society.
Yeah, I told you before we started that this is something that stood out for me when I read her piece, and it's so true. And it feels like that in a treacherous depth of social media, it's so easily thrown out. Or this is just a toxic masculine trait. Um, and and yeah, it's not. There is no such thing as toxic masculinity. There's just an uninitiated boy who's desperately trying to become a man in a world that he doesn't understand yet, right? Um, so for a woman who is naturally or developing much quicker than than men or boys, and I can just to draw out a bit, I can see it in my own kids. My son is 6, and my daughter is 2. She outsmarts him and everything she does. Like, but not like they're 6 and 2, so they're not trying to outdo each other. But I can see the woman in her. She's already caring and smart and attentive, and like she's embodying that woman archetype in her, if that is a thing. Yeah, but that female, rather the female archetype, she's already embodying, and that's at age 2.
Yeah, that's beautiful, buddy, isn't it? And it's kind of there's a beautiful piece in Conversations with God, one of our favorite books that speaks about the masculine and feminine, and there's this toing and froing with God in the book, and it talks about, well, as women have, the feminine has all of this to take care of and do, and it sounds like it's much more than the man actually has to do. And is the feminine much more conscious? Is she, could she be classed as more conscious than the masculine? And God's like, no, there's no better here. There's no one better than the other. They're just different, and they're both, we're both playing our own roles. And the problem that we have in society is when that gets kind of imbalanced and distorted. Um, and I know from my own past experience in relationships and my experience in my current relationship with Kimberly, how when I've not been fully in my sort of my masculine energy, taking action, making decisive decisions, being a leader, it's created an imbalance in the relationship, and it's meant that my female partner had to adopt more of a masculine role, or go into more of her masculine energy, which created a lot of unhappiness for her, and difficulty for her, because she ultimately, underneath everything, realized she wasn't in her feminine, which is where she actually wanted to be in her creative, free flowing state, because she didn't feel sort of safe enough. And now in this relationship with Kimberly, I guess partly because of what I've learned from the past, um, we are both finding ourselves simultaneously adopting our roles as the masculine and feminine in our relationships. And like, I'm very much expressing myself as a man, and it's allowing her to be in her feminine as a woman. And she's a super independent, super powerful like female, my partner Kimberly. But she also wants to be feminine at the same time. She wants to be able to express her softness. She wants to be in her softness. She doesn't have to want to be like hard and protecting herself all the time. And I'm not saying that women can't protect themselves, but and I guess I'm talking about this in the sense of our relationship, and what's working for us. And I'm not saying that this is for everyone, but there's definitely a balancing that comes through when you, wow, when you're both playing a specific role. And actually, maybe if we were talking about gay or homosexual relationships, there's also, maybe one partner who's more in their feminine and one who's more in their masculine, whether that's a masculine couple or a feminine couple. But there is this, it's yin and yang, right? It's this balance that's at the heart of all creation and nature, this energy. And people get triggered, I guess, by calling it masculine or feminine, but maybe it's a more dominant or submissive energy. I don't know. Maybe there's just two complementary energies that exist. Let's put it like that. And if they're both in their purpose and living as they were created to live authentically, then in a relationship it can allow the other person to be in their own space, and then you end up in this beautiful balanced equation. Bit of a waffle there.
To be honest with you, I feel already on such thin ice talking about women. I'm not going to go down I'm not jumping over the frozen lake of the case. I'm staying here and put my foot in
you,
this
you
category.
you staying safe.
Well, I'm staying a bit more safe. Um, but I think it's exactly that, right? The balance of the two. And um, me and Sarah have this beautiful relationship where we both now, in the last couple of years, uncovered our own traumas and demons, and are willing to do the hard bit, to not give up, but to actually learn with each other. And that's really hard, right? It takes a lot of um, patience, dedication, love, compassion. And I think many others would have given up. But the more you do this, the more you are able to like kind of settle in your own role. And for some people, that may mean that the woman takes on a bit more of the quote unquote masculine traits. If it works, every relationship, every person has to discover what that means for themselves, right? So what you
Absolutely.
mentioned,
Yeah.
right? And but I think and going kind of really back to the opening, right? What we're trying to do with this episode is really to also be curious And please leave a comment and tell us what you think the feminine is about, what it means to be feminine. But for us, it's the curiosity. And now having a partner with whom we can discover this is such a gift. Because fuck me, learning about the period and the cycle, that's, I mean, uh, she explains it to me, and I hear the words, and I cannot comprehend what a woman must go through. And it's just this awe and constant whirlwind that the woman is. It's
Yeah.
fascinating. So going back to what I really say is it's finding this balance between whoever you choose to share your life with.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I think so now we've kind of underpinned this episode in terms of, not, we haven't even scratched the surface, obviously, of what women
Yeah.
really go through, and who are we to even
Well, let me explain it to you, dear Adam.
be able to explain that and understand it fully. But I think we wanted to we wanted to just, I think, show our reverence, show our compassion for that, for what they go through, just as we are for men, but we obviously have direct experience with that. But ultimately, bringing it back to the fact that a transition is a transition, whatever it is that you're going through. There's these three phases that, going back to the William Bridges transition model of the ending, the in between, the messy middle, before you can move into the new beginning. And it's the same for every single transition, whether you're man or woman, whatever you're going through. There is an ending that you have to go through, the death of something, the letting go of something before you can um, move into the messy middle. And before you have to go through that, you have to reorientate yourself to this new version of yourself. Once you've let go of the old version, who am I now, who do I want to be, before you can truly move forward and move into that new integrated version of yourself. And one of the reasons why this episode came up for us, I thought it's good to share, is this, that actually, we've been trying to figure out who our main, let's be honest, market in terms of the work that we're doing is. And obviously the masculine is an area that we have a lot of expertise in and experience. But actually, I've worked with, and we've worked with a lot of women through our program. Initially the Pathfinder, initially Inner Earth. I've worked with several women who are all going through that perimenopausal uh, transition, life transition. And so this is kind of what led us to also wanting to do this episode, was like, yes, we don't have direct experience of being a woman and those transitions, but we know through our experience of working with them, actually, the existence of these transitions, and how they are a very similar process that they go through in terms of the three stages. Um, and and that, yeah, so this journey of self-discovery that you can go on when you're in that messy middle, once you've let go of the old and you're ready to step into the new, that journey of self-discovery, how vital and important it is um, to find yourself again, to um, find who you are again. And I think bringing it back to our partners, Sarah and Kimberly. Obviously, Sarah's got two young children. Felix 6. That's right, isn't it? 6 and 2. You said, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Sarah's very much still, bringing. She's still nurturing, nourishing youngsters to become human beings. She's probably got one eye on the future, but obviously can't really quite go there just yet because she's got her hands full still. Whereas Kimberly has a 16-year-old daughter, so she's very much at a point in her life. She got pregnant young and had a daughter, and her daughter's 16 now. So she's actually starting to go into the transition of the sort of empty nest, and having to contemplate and reflect on, the journey of of being a mother, and how quickly that's gone by for her, and all the beautiful and amazing memories and adventures that she went on with her daughter, and through all the different stages of her development, and how she's obviously now becoming her own young woman, starting her own life. And so Kimberly's having to sort of deal with who she, like, reconfiguring who she is now and who she wants to be moving forward. And yeah, it's just so fascinating, isn't it? And I think that's why we love doing this work, brother. And that's right. Inner Earth is called it Inner Earth, and we love observing life and the lives people lead.
Beautiful
That's
thing
fuel for our
about
fire.
right, and the beautiful thing about the work we are doing at Inner Earth, and you as the coach, is that whatever transition our clients go through, they they are very individual to them, but if kind of if looked from a bird's eye perspective, they all face, as you mentioned, a very similar kind of trajectory. And you don't have to do it on your own. It's it's so powerful to come into a community where, someone can help you navigate this, and navigating transitions by remembering who we are uh, at the base of it all is just powerful, because then you mentioned the neutral zone as the messy middle. Suddenly it doesn't become messy anymore. It's actually that birthing ground of potential and power. So with that, really is an invitation um, for you to come here and join us in this great work.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd just like to maybe as we land this episode, um, I think we'd love to do more in the future. Obviously, we've not scratched the surface. Um, there's so much to unpack here, but I thought it would be quite nice to end this episode with another piece from what my partner Kimberly wrote. It's a little bit of a longer paragraph, but I think it kind of maybe wraps up and leaves us with a nice feeling of hope for the future for the man and for the woman. So she wrote this. I guess that's where the power lies. Accepting we are all children. We are all experiencing and learning as we go. But we do not all get the same starting points, the same tools and information. The balance is lost. Yes, we all know that. But the real question is how we are going to get it back. When will the masks drop? When will everyone own up to the parts they play? To the hearts closed off? To the flames that were put out? How? Well, maybe it doesn't start with wanting to change the world. Maybe it starts in small spaces. Maybe it starts with listening when your instinct is to defend. Maybe it starts with connection and how we choose to see each other, how we choose to grow individually and together.
We can start another 30 minutes and just riff on that. That's beautiful.
Yeah. Mm. Mm. Hit the spot. That was a mic drop.
Uh, yeah, it's those
Thanks,
those.
Kimberly.
Yeah, thank you, Kimberly. Um, it's it's not the big, ginormous changes that make a difference. It's those small little acknowledgements. It's beautiful. So yeah, great. How do we bring this to a close without without doing injustice to this piece? Um, I guess we just land the spacecraft. Dear Earthlings, thank you so much for watching. It's been a real pleasure. We mentioned many times, we just scratched the surface. Um, it's also this exploration um, of the beautiful power that is the woman. If you want to learn more, reach out to us. Go to the website. Um, our course, our program is especially designed for you to navigate these transitions wherever you are. We are dedicated to helping you. Reach out to us, maybe hop on a discovery call with me, and we talk about what can help you. And if we can help you, perfect. If not, then that's also fine. So we'd love to be in touch. Until next time, Adam, thank you so much. Do you have any last words?
Yeah, just to reiterate what you said, the Awakening Woman is our program. So please, if you are a woman who is awakening, get in contact with us and have a call with Roman. We much appreciate that, and see where you're at, see if we can help. And I think the final message is just that for the world to really come together. Oh, I know I'm gonna say that piece from the poem that came through when we did our second podcast together, and I think it speaks to the masculine and feminine all coming together, all of us coming together as humanity and I think it speaks to each one of us. So I have to be me to be truly free. You have to be you to be totally true. And we must become one for our work to be done. Peace out. Thanks for watching.